Today's story is a story about a boy who lived in Native America and he was looking for adventure. Oseo sat in his teepee with his pocket knife and a piece of wood, and as he whittled away on the piece of wood, he thought to himself, I'm bored. I want to have an adventure. So he stood up, he put on his jacket with the two pockets, zipped it up, came out of his teepee, and made sure that it was closed. He walked across over a fence and in towards the forest. On his way, he heard a strange noise, and as he had been taught to stop, look, and listen, he did so and saw it was okay. It was only the red snake who was very friendly. He carried on along his way down the path towards the forest, and he heard another noise in the trees. He did his usual stop, look, and listen as he'd been taught. But it was okay, it was just the magic hula bird. So Oseo waved at the bird and off he went on his way towards the forest. As he came closer to the forest, the road got a little bit harder to navigate, and he had to cross over some shrubs and some tree branches. He climbed over a tree branch and he walked towards the clearing further into the forest. As he did so, he noticed something small on the path in front of him. It was a bird who had fallen out of its nest. Oseo picked up the bird, looked up in the tree for the mommy bird, and placed the bird carefully back into the nest. The mommy bird was so grateful to Oseo, and she said, Oseo, thank you. Wait a minute, I have a gift for you. So she gave Oseo a little berry. Now, Oseo wasn't too impressed by this gift, but the bird said, Oseo, it's a magic berry. Put it into one of your pockets and keep it safe. So he did what he was told, and off he went on his way. Oseo kept going towards the forest, and then he came to the river. Oseo loved to cross over the river, and so he did. But not before he saw a little creature on the river bank. And this little creature looked like it needed a bit of help. He was crying. What's wrong? Said Oseo to the little squirrel. Oseo, I can't cross the river. I'm too small, said the squirrel. Oh, said Oseo, let me help you. So he picked up the squirrel, put him on his head, and swam across the river with the squirrel on his head. As he swam across the river to the other side, Oseo could feel the heartbeat of the squirrel. Boom, 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 boom. And he brought him safely to the other side of the river. Oseo, thank you, said the squirrel. Thank you for making such an effort and for your trouble. Here, I want to give you a special present. So the squirrel gave Oseo an acorn. Thank you, said Oseo, looking at the acorn, and he put it into the other pocket. They said their goodbyes, and Oseo ran towards a big field. Now he felt free. He started spinning around and making circles, looking up at the blue sky, smelling the fresh air and the grass that was freshly cut. Oh, he was happy to be alive. Until, behind him, he heard thumping, and Oseo looked behind him and saw a big giant coming towards him. Oseo started to run fast as he could across the field, but he was too slow. The giant had very big long legs, and he caught up with Oseo in no time, and he flung a net over Oseo and captured him inside. He pulled up the net, and before he knew it, Oseo was swinging up on a branch of a tree. I'm just going to get a saucepan to cook my dinner, said the giant, and off he went. Oseo started to panic. Oh no, what am I going to do? He said. How am I going to get out of this situation? What am I going to do? And he started to cry and he started to feel really bad until he remembered his pockets. He put his hand into one of the pockets. He took out the berry that the mommy bird had given him. He put it onto the tip of his tongue. He closed his eyes and he started to wish really, really hard. really, really hard. And before he knew it, he had shrunk down, tiny, to the size of a berry almost, and he was able to get out through the opening in the net and run on his tiny little feet, his teeny tiny little feet, towards the river. Of course, the giant was returning and saw this tiny little being running across towards the river bank. "You're not going to get away from me, although you've shrank into quite a small-looking dinner. I will eat you," said the giant. Oseo got to the river bank, but then he remembered he was too small to cross over the river to the other side. But then he remembered the acorn. He put his hand into the other pocket, took the acorn out of his pocket, held onto it really, really tight, and then he began to wish really, really, really hard, until he started to grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, until he was back to his usual size, back to being Oseo. And with one glance, he saw the giant getting closer, about to reach over and catch, until Oseo jumped into the river and swam across to the other side to safety. Well, Oseo jumped up on the river bank, ran across, down through the forest, over the clearing, almost tripping over the fallen tree branches, past the mommy bird, down closer, closer to his home. He looked up and briefly saw the magic hula bird. Past the hula bird, he didn't have time to stop, look, and listen. He heard the hiss, he saw the red snake, and ran over the fence and back into his teepee, and sat down, picked up his pocket knife and his piece of wood, and he started to whittle away again. Oseo heard a tapping on his tent, and outside the tent he saw his friend. "Oseo, would you like to come and have an adventure with me?" said his friend. "No, thank you, not today," said Oseo, as he continued to whittle away at the piece of wood in his hand. What an adventure that was!